The bell echoed through the halls, signaling the end of another school day. Students spilled out onto the sun-drenched sidewalks, eager for the freedom of the weekend. But amidst the youthful energy, a chilling silence descended. Maya Torres, a 15-year-old with a bright smile and a contagious laugh, was gone. She had simply vanished, swallowed by the afternoon shadows without a trace. The community, once a haven of tranquility, became a breeding ground for suspicion and fear. Neighbors exchanged wary glances, their once familiar streets now imbued with an unsettling sense of vulnerability. Whispers followed Alyssa, Maya's best friend, like a shroud. She had been the last to see Maya, their parting a haunting image seared into the collective memory. But Alyssa, her face pale and drawn, claimed to know nothing. Her silence, heavy with unspoken words, only fueled the growing suspicion. The search for Maya continued, but the initial fervor had given way to a grim determination. The usual cacophony of Jefferson High School's dismissal echoed through the bustling hallways. Among them, Maya Torres, her backpack slung over one shoulder, headed towards the familiar meeting spot at the edge of the parking lot. She was supposed to meet Alyssa, her best friend since childhood. Alyssa, however, was running late, held captive by a last-minute conversation with their English teacher. Unfazed, Maya pulled out her phone, her thumbs dancing across the screen. Minutes ticked by, measured by the steady stream of students leaving the building. Finally, catching sight of Alyssa's familiar figure hurrying across the parking lot, Maya tucked her phone away and waved. That was the last time anyone saw Maya Torres. When Maya didn't return home that evening, a palpable wave of anxiety swept through the quiet suburban community. Her parents, their initial concern escalating into full-blown panic, made frantic calls to Maya's friends. By morning, the news had spread like wildfire, igniting a collective sense of dread. The police were called in, their initial inquiries met with a wall of silence. Missing person flyers bearing Maya's smiling face frozen in time appeared on telephone poles and shop windows. Days turned into weeks, each sunrise a painful reminder of Maya's absence. The search parties, initially filled with a desperate hope, dwindled in size as the trail ran cold. The Torres family, their faces etched with exhaustion and grief, clung to the hope that their daughter would somehow find her way back home. Throughout the investigation, one name kept resurfacing: Alyssa. As Maya's best friend, she became the focal point of the investigation, her every word scrutinized for any clue. Yet, Alyssa remained an enigma, her grief seemingly genuine, her account of their last encounter frustratingly vague. She recounted their last conversation, a trivial exchange about an upcoming school dance. The weight of Maya's disappearance pressed down on Alyssa, her youthful innocence slowly giving way to a haunted look. The weight of Maya's absence pressed heavily on Alyssa. Her once vibrant laughter was silenced, replaced by a haunting stillness. The police, their investigation stalled, focused their attention on her, their questions relentless. Alyssa, however, remained an enigma, her grief a palpable shield. They had been inseparable, their lives intertwined since childhood. But now the unspoken questions swirled around Alyssa, casting long shadows of doubt. The community, once a source of comfort and support, became a minefield of suspicion and judgment. Alyssa could feel their eyes on her, their whispers following her like a curse. As the days morphed into weeks, the details of Alyssa's account began to unravel under scrutiny. Her initial certainty about the events of that fateful afternoon gave way to hesitant pauses and a wavering gaze. The timeline she had carefully constructed started to crumble, revealing inconsistencies. Her recollection of their last conversation, initially a casual exchange about an upcoming school dance, shifted under further questioning. She mentioned a disagreement, a fleeting argument that she had initially dismissed as insignificant. The police, sensing her unease, pressed harder, their questions like shards of glass piercing through her carefully constructed facade. The discovery of Maya's deleted message sent shockwaves through the investigation. The message, brief yet loaded with implication, hinted at a shared secret, a pact made and broken. Alyssa, confronted with the damning evidence, vehemently denied any knowledge of the message. She claimed ignorance, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and indignation. But her denials rang hollow, undermined by the growing evidence that pointed towards her involvement in Maya's disappearance. The community, once quick to offer sympathy and support, now viewed Alyssa with a mixture of suspicion and fear. The discovery of the deleted message on Maya's laptop hit the investigation like a bombshell. 6 simple words: "Don't forget, you promised to help." They whispered of a shared secret, a pact made in the shadows, a bond of trust now irrevocably broken. The weight of those words pressed down on Alyssa, their echo reverberating through her carefully constructed facade. The investigators, their suspicions now given tangible form, returned to Alyssa, their eyes sharp with renewed purpose. They presented the message, its stark digital presence a stark contrast to the carefully crafted narrative Alyssa had spun. Alyssa, her face now drained of all color, stared at the message, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and defiance. The digital world, once a haven of anonymity and escape, had become a treacherous landscape for Alyssa. Every click, every search, every deleted message formed a digital trail, a breadcrumb path, leading the investigators closer to the truth. Her attempts to erase her tracks, fueled by panic and a desperate need to protect herself, had only served to deepen the mystery. The investigators, armed with search warrants, delved into the labyrinthine world of Maya and Alyssa's online lives. Each new piece of evidence, each digital breadcrumb chipped away at Alyssa's carefully constructed facade. Alyssa, trapped in a web of her own making, found herself backed into a corner. The weight of her lies, compounded by the mounting evidence, threatened to crush her. She had started with small omissions, seemingly insignificant details she had thought were safe to conceal. But each lie, each half-truth had spun a tighter web, ensnaring her in a tangled mess of her own design. The investigators, their patience wearing thin, confronted Alyssa with the inconsistencies in her story. Alyssa, her composure finally shattered, broke down. The interrogation room, dimly lit and heavy with the weight of unspoken truths, became a crucible for Alyssa. The detectives, their faces etched with a mixture of empathy and steely determination, continued their relentless pursuit of the truth. Alyssa, her face pale and streaked with tears, could feel the walls closing in. The weight of her lies, the carefully omitted details, the fabricated alibis pressed down on her. The investigators, their gaze unwavering, saw through her facade, their questions like probes seeking out the raw nerves of her guilt and fear. Under the relentless pressure, Alyssa's carefully constructed facade began to crumble. Her denials, once vehement and resolute, dissolved into a torrent of tears and half-truths. The weight of her deceit, the suffocating burden of her secrets, became too heavy to bear. The detectives, sensing her desperation, softened their approach, their voices laced with a measured empathy. They offered her a lifeline, a chance to come clean, to tell her side of the story before it was too late. And then, with a shuddering breath, Alyssa spoke. Not a confession, not yet, but a fragmented account, a glimpse into the events of that fateful afternoon. She spoke of Maya's plan to run away, a desperate attempt to escape a home life she found unbearable. She spoke of a silver car, an anonymous vehicle with tinted windows that waited at the edge of the school parking lot. Alyssa claimed she had tried to dissuade Maya, to convince her that running away was not the answer. But Maya, her mind made up, had refused to listen. She had climbed into the silver car, a fleeting wave goodbye, the last image Alyssa had of her best friend. The detectives listened intently, their faces betraying nothing of their thoughts. The investigation into Maya's disappearance had stalled, stuck in a quagmire of dead ends and half-truths. Alyssa's confession, while a crack in her carefully constructed facade, had only deepened the mystery. The silver car, its existence unsubstantiated and its driver unidentified, remained an elusive phantom, a frustratingly vague clue in a case starved for concrete leads. The detectives, though frustrated by the lack of progress, refused to relinquish their pursuit of the truth. They returned to Maya's life, meticulously retracing her steps, hoping to unearth a hidden detail, an overlooked clue that could shed light on her fate. Their search led them to Maya's bedroom, a space frozen in time, the remnants of her teenage life scattered like fallen leaves. Among the posters, photographs, and discarded schoolbooks, they found it. A shared diary, tucked away on a shelf, its worn cover a testament to the countless secrets it held. The diary, filled with the hopes, dreams, and anxieties of two teenage girls, promised to be a window into Maya and Alyssa's world, a potential treasure trove of information that could crack the case wide open. The diary, its pages filled with a kaleidoscope of ink colors, became a portal into the complex dynamics of Maya and Alyssa's friendship. Each entry, a mix of teenage angst, whispered confidences, and shared dreams, offered a glimpse into their lives, their bond a tapestry woven with both laughter and tears. The detectives, their eyes scanning the handwritten entries, felt a sense of intrusion, a voyeuristic unease at being privy to the private world of two teenage girls. As they delved deeper into the diary's pages, a pattern began to emerge. The lighthearted banter and shared secrets gradually gave way to a palpable tension, a growing rift in their once unbreakable bond. Maya's entries, once filled with an unbridled zest for life, became tinged with a growing sense of unease, a shadow of doubt cast over her friendship with Alyssa. Alyssa's entries, in contrast, remained cheerful, her words filled with a forced levity that rang false. She wrote of their plans for the future, their dreams of escaping their small town, their bond presented as unbreakable. But between the lines, the detectives sensed a growing desperation, a frantic attempt to maintain a facade of normalcy as their friendship crumbled around them. And then in the final pages of the diary they found it, a chilling entry written in Maya's hand, the ink smudged with tears. "I don't know if I trust her anymore," she wrote, her words a desperate plea lost in the void of their shared secret. The entry was undated, but based on the handwriting and the context, the detectives estimated it had been written just days before Maya's disappearance. The diary offered no explanation for Maya's sudden distrust, no details about the events that had shaken her faith in her best friend. It was a cryptic message from beyond the grave, a whisper of betrayal that echoed through the silence of Maya's absence. The discovery of the diary entry sent shockwaves through the investigation. The walls were closing in on Alyssa, the web of her deceit tightening with each passing day. The diary, a silent witness to the unraveling of their friendship, held the key to unlocking the mystery of Maya's disappearance. The disappearance of Maya Torres had cast a long shadow over the once peaceful community. The vibrant tapestry of suburban life, woven with threads of normalcy and routine, had been irrevocably torn, leaving behind a frayed edge of fear and uncertainty. The search for Maya had become a relentless pursuit, a collective obsession that consumed their waking hours and haunted their dreams. Yet despite their tireless efforts, Maya remained elusive, her absence a gaping wound in the heart of their community. The investigation, hampered by dead ends and half-truths, had slowly ground to a halt, the initial fervor replaced by a weary resignation. The missing person posters, once a symbol of hope, had faded to a pale reminder of their collective failure to bring Maya home. The community, once united by their shared grief and determination, found themselves fractured by suspicion and doubt. Whispers followed Alyssa, her every move scrutinized, her every word dissected for any hint of guilt or knowledge about Maya's fate. The weight of their judgment, heavy with unspoken accusations, had driven her away, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a community haunted by the ghost of their lost daughter. Years have passed since that fateful afternoon when Maya Torres vanished without a trace. The seasons have turned, the leaves falling and returning with a cyclical predictability that mocks the unanswered questions that linger in the air. Time, once a relentless adversary, has lost its sharp edges, the initial rawness of grief softened by a quiet acceptance of the unknown. The community, slowly but surely, has begun to heal, their lives resuming a semblance of normalcy. The memory of Maya, however, remains, a bittersweet echo in the laughter of children playing in the park, the rustling leaves whispering her name on the wind. She is a ghost in their midst, her presence felt in the spaces she once occupied, her absence a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of secrets. Alyssa, forever linked to Maya's disappearance, carries the weight of their shared past like a heavy shroud. The whispers have faded, the accusations silenced by time and distance, but the guilt and the unanswered questions remain, etched into the fabric of her being. She is a prisoner of her own memories, forever haunted by the events of that fateful afternoon, the truth, elusive and ever-shifting, locked away in the recesses of her heart. The disappearance of Maya Torres remains an open wound, a chilling reminder that even in the most ordinary of places, darkness can lurk, secrets can fester, and some questions may never find their answers.